Hello folks, it's been a few minutes, hasn't it? I'm back after a much-needed vacation and man, oh man, has a lot happened since. The Arrive scam scandal has cracked wide open in the past few weeks. Unbelievable. How corrupt can this Liberal government get? Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it got worse. It got a lot worse. What else has happened? Oh, right. The Liberals and NDP came to a national pharmacare agreement. Except they didn't really. Instead, they passed a new bill that aims to, quote, begin working toward a national pharmacare programme, unquote. That's it. There is no actual agreement, ladies and gentlemen. All this harassment of the Conservative leader about whether he would cancel it is just more political games. There is no national programme for him to cancel, folks. It's another farce led by Trudeau and his fucking puppets in media. That idiot Trudeau was also in Ukraine offering them more of our money. Lovely, isn't it? While our own people live on the streets, he's showering that corrupt pig Zelensky with our money. And it's tax season coming up next month as well. Keep that in mind when you see how much this grubby government of Liberals, sods, has taken from you in 2023. It's disgraceful. Brian Mulroney also died. I think, if I'm correct, he died on the same day Justin Trudeau's father resigned about 40-some years ago. I could be wrong, but February 29th was when Mulroney died, and it was when Pierre Trudeau took his walk. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm too fucking lazy to look it up, to be honest. I'm sure you will let me know in the comments. Actually, you know what? I'm setting a bad example. Let me look it up. February 29th is when Mulroney died. But when did the patriarch of the Trudeau idiocracy resign? Let me see. Yes, folks, I am correct. Pierre Trudeau did his famous walk in the snow on February 29th, 1984, 40 years before Brian Mulroney died. Isn't that something? I saw posts on social media about people hoping that Trudeau would follow in his father's footsteps and resign on that day. Instead, we lost Brian Mulroney. Odd, anyhow. How about what happened in Russia? What a tragedy. I don't care where your loyalties lie. It was an absolute tragedy, and over 100 innocent Russians lost their lives. The mainstream media and US officials were sure quick to pin the blame on ISIS, weren't they? The whole thing seems very odd, doesn't it? It is true that ISIS was defeated in Syria, partly by Russia. Many believe also that ISIS was trained and funded by the United States. To many, it is a fact, so it isn't that unrealistic to think ISIS might retaliate against Russia, but the timing is off, and some of the men captured claim to have been paid by mysterious figures they met online. It all sounds very much like a typical covert operation by some kind of intelligence service, or multiple intelligence services. Only time will tell. But let's not take pleasure in seeing innocent people die. We are better than that. Justin Trudeau's carbon tax is set for another increase, right at a time when inflation is finally starting to come down. The Conservative Party tried to block it with a no-confidence vote, but of course those imbeciles in the NDP and Bloke shut down the efforts. They all want us to pay more, these dirty, rotten scoundrels. That's why they're losing miserably in the latest polls. The latest Abacus poll shows the Conservatives dominating with a 17-point lead. And the NDP isn't gaining any support. They're still stuck at 19%. Canadians are fed up. Did you hear about that secret RCMP memo that warned we all might become uncivilized and violent when we realise how bad our situation is? No shit. Most of us aren't going to kill, loot or steal, but there is always going to be that segment of society that does. This is what happens when you make people poorer and force them into poverty. It is really so sad, folks, to see our country devolve into this. Very, very sad. I had a quick phone call with a friend of a friend who has recently taken a new prescription drug that has been on the market for a while. I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but I know you have heard of it. This person, whose name is Caroline, recently took it for nearly 2 months, and the side effects have been absolutely devastating. She told me this popular new drug, which some are using to lose weight, has made her hate food. I haven't heard anything like this before. It's horrifying, really. That's not, of course, what the drug is originally prescribed for. It's actually a diabetes drug, but people are hailing it as some miracle weight loss drug. All the cool kids are taking it now to stay thin. Isn't that sad? Rather than stay thin and healthy the old-fashioned way, the cool kids are now eating poorly, living low-activity lives, and instead relying on a pharmaceutical drug to stay slim. I'm one to talk. I'm kind of a fat fuck, really. I have to ask my wife what my penis looks like, because I don't even remember if I have one some days. But my friends, I would never take this drug. The stories of how it makes you physically sick at the sight and smell of certain foods is frightening. And apparently Caroline's side effects are still lingering, despite her being off the drug now for almost 3 months. She's terrified she will never be able to stand or tolerate certain foods again. It's just horrifying. I'd rather remain a fat, lazy sod than experiment with that. You would catch me jogging before you would catch me going anywhere near this new pharmaceutical nightmare, let me tell you. Anyhow, what a bizarre world we are heading into, folks. Things just keep getting weirder and weirder. Our governments keep getting more and more corrupt, it seems. I would talk more about that Arrive scam scandal, but honestly, I don't really know too much about it. All I know is, like most other corrupt liberals, these liberals have again sent millions of our tax dollars to their buddies, all for doing nothing. We, as voters, kind of let it happen, don't we, when we stay at home and don't vote. We are probably more than a year away from an election, one that Liberals recently delayed for a week to secure their pensions, by the way. But it is absolutely crucial that you vote, my friends. Do not sit on the sidelines next year. Get involved, volunteer even, get out there and help us get rid of this disgusting, horrific failure and parasite named Justin Trudeau. Until next time, farewell.